Hey there, ghouls, gals, creeps, and mutants. The Undead Matt here. Before we jump into today's episode, want to give you a heads up that this one's going to be talking about some pretty heavy stuff today. So trigger warning is in order. We are going to be talking about things such as home invasion, sexual abuse, murder, and torture. If any of these things are something that trigger you, please take care when going through this episode today. With that in mind, though, let's go ahead and jump into it.
It's the summer of 1985 in LA, California. The nights are just as hot as the day in one of the worst heat waves the city has ever seen. You and your significant other are getting ready for bed. You decide to leave your window open to hopefully cool off for the night. Just before you fall asleep, you feel a presence in your room. You open your eyes to see a tall figure with rotting teeth wearing all black and holding a .22 pistol at the foot of your bed. The last thing you hear is,
"Hail Satan."
Welcome everyone back to the Punk Rock Horror Podcast. I'm Matt.
I'm Cody.
And today we're here to remind you that if you're still stuck inside or not getting a lot of hours, but if you have the funds available, to go and invest in your local board game shop and get a new board game. You would be surprised the amount of fun you can actually have when just diving into the traditions of tabletop board games.
Oh yeah, I agree.
Yeah, we got
Especially if you have another person in your house.
Right.
Possibilities are endless.
Or if for some reason you do live with older folks and they're like video games or your movies aren't like their taste, you could totally get a board game and still kind of like do something that you enjoy and get them in on something, spending quality time with you. Keep it in mind, hopefully you have folks that are good at keeping their emotions under check when it comes to playing certain board games, because
Yeah, fuck you, Grandma. Where'd you get the pink 50s?
we got this one called Betrayal House on a Hill, and I've been playing it with a lot of people. Originally got it for me and my parents and to play with, and all of us, and now I'm having more of my friends play it, and it's a sweet ass game. If just real quick, if any of our listeners have never played or heard of it, Betrayal House on a Hill is all about you picking cliche heroes, so like the jock or the smart kid or like or the professor, or whatever.
The hot girl.
Yeah, and so you navigate this mansion, but you every door you go into is a different tile you draw, which leads you into either an omen event or an item, and it's really just a badass game, man. Like a lot of people have been having fun with it. My parents care for it. Mm-hmm. Excuse me, I'm burping. My parents care about it. They love the shit out of it. Like, they actually keep asking me to bring it up and play it with them, but I can definitely see that they get really annoyed with it because it has like somewhat D&D mechanics where you have to do save rolls and whatnot. Yeah. And that's not really like D&D. Like, it's not only in D&D, it's in other games.
No, but that's like where most people are going to know it from.
Yeah, exactly.
That's where kind of I feel like it originated from.
Yeah, and then you have to like fight a boss, and there's like always a random way it's picked, so it's never the same boss. It's always because the whole premise of the board game is that it's a different game each time you play it. Yeah. And for a lot of time, for the most part, it really is. Like, it's really fun. I've enjoyed it. It's a fun little horror board game, and like you can totally be theatrical with it, and it's like up to 6 players. It's awesome. So cool. Yeah,
I want to try it.
Yeah, I know you would love it. I'm trying to get a game night together so you can actually make it.
I know, man. Like, honestly, just like for me, it's just
I get it.
Work, dude. Jesus goddamn Christ! Like, holy shit.
Yeah. But jumping into it, talking about games, I think we should definitely talk about our horror game for this round of the podcast for this episode. And so I've been thinking about it because obviously listeners who are listening to this are like, wait a minute, I don't even know what the theme is. So if you can tell our habits at this point, usually when there isn't a LPC, listener participation corner, or when we're not doing call-ins, is because we're talking about a serial killer, one in particular. I'm going to let Cody intro it once we're done, but I don't want to give it away.
I would also just, when we do our... totally serial killers. I was about to say, I don't know, what about when we do our history biographies? And I was like, fucking idiot, we did Stephen King and everyone said the Stephen King book.
We'll have to do another one.
Yeah, no, I want to do one on, oh my god, I can't believe I just forgot his name. I'm literally having a
me.
brain fart so hard right now.
Koontz?
Like,
Is it Dean Koontz? Is it Koontsy?
no, it's not Coonsy. Even though I'd like to do one on Dean Koontz. No, oh God, never mind. I'll think of it later and I'll bring it up. But there's another. Oh no, fucking one I've been wanting to do. What we're gonna have to do one. I want to dive deep into the Cecil Hotel.
Okay.
Yeah,
I thought you were talking about
thinking
authors, so that's why I was like, are you talking about Dean Koontz?
No, I wasn't talking about authors. I was just like, because we did H.P. Lovecraft, we did Stephen King, and like I liked all those, but I love doing our biographies of people, but I kind of want to do like a haunted place this time. That's not like, you know, the haunting in Connecticut and shit like that, or the house from The Conjuring and stuff. You know, well-renowned houses like that. I want to do something like big, like that one, like where it's like super creepy coincidences and stuff. Because like, it's funny enough, the serial killer we talked about today was a frequent flyer there.
Well, if you want, you can mention what we're talking about today.
They can wait until after the game.
Okay, so
you can wait.
Okay, all right. Alrighty then.
Because that's what he liked to do.
He liked to wait.
He liked to wait and watch and
true.
Like, and have all the like. He loved to watch like the horror in the people's eyes and stuff like that. So now we get to sit here and have the listeners wait and horror of who it is.
Right. All right. So with who we're talking about, part of his MO does have to deal with Satanism. And so I was thinking, I was like, what is a fun game we could play that's like that isn't like too edgelord, but also isn't like too just like, you know, over the top. Like, what could it be?
I love that name, edgelord.
I'm just
Who the fuck thought of that? This is great.
Look, what would you sell to the devil to get what you wanted? That's the game, bro.
What would I sell?
No, that's not. That's not actually the game. No.
I know someone who I'd sell. I know a couple people. I'd be like, you know, they'd be right up your alley, man. I just want my bubble gum. I don't even chew gum.
All right. So here's what I thought about it. So if you entertain this for a moment, if you want to play this game with people you work with or at home, do it in a way so it doesn't seem sacrilegious, I guess, or whatever, if that's your thing. I'm trusting that if you're doing it, you're doing it.
Replace Satanism with Santaism. Then they'll think it's Christmas.
All right, so Satan's a busy dude. He's like, yo, Cody, I just got all these souls I need to take care of, dog. Like, I need torturing up the yin yang in itself is a torture for myself. But hey, that's why I'm the big man. That's why I'm in the chair. But I'm having trouble focusing. I've been pulling a 60-hour shift this week.
Like he gets a day off.
It is hell. But all right. So he's like, Cody, I need you to be my dog. I need you to do this for me in the name of me. I need you to go to the grocery store and pick up these items. But because he writes in Old Sumerian, you can't decipher what it is. So you have to pick 5 items from the grocery store that you think Satan is wanting you to pick up for him. So what would they be?
5.
They got to be 2 food and 2 liquid, but you can change out the liquid with like another miscellaneous thing. And
then a dessert, I'm guessing?
No, 2 miscellaneous. So you have so it's gonna be 5 items. So it's 2 food.
Okay.
It's gonna be a liquid. And then 2 miscellaneous.
Okay.
So let's do it like that.
All right. So food-wise, if I'm going to the grocery store for him, I'm going to guess he's gonna want some steak. Because, no, you know what? Fuck it. He wants to piss everyone else. I bet he's a vegan. I'm a motherfucker. Then in that case, you know what? Yeah, no, I'd bring him a steak. Then I'd be like, here. You have sharp teeth. I didn't know you were vegan. When he's
my God. I didn't know that you stopped at cruelty when it came to animals. He's like, yeah, I'm Satan. I'm not a dick.
Look at that cow. And tell me he's not cute.
Why do you think I tell people to not kill cows? They are fucking adorable.
Is that why you like being a goat? Because you're badass vegan?
Look, I asked you to get my groceries.
Okay. And then probably, to go with that, just, let's see. Corn, because it's fire. Everyone loves fire roasted corn. Who can't say no to that? He's a vegan after all.
All right.
At least he can eat that.
There you go.
Liquid-wise, tea. I bring him some tea. He needs some calm down. Chill out there, edgelord.
Yeah.
a nice cup of chamomile tea.
Apparently you were working 60-hour weeks here, so you need to relax.
Man. Everyone needs that. And then miscellaneous-wise, I'd probably grab...
You got to pick 2 miscellaneous.
Yeah, 2. So I got 2. I guess I'd probably then grab some whipped cream, just so he's like, ooh? like, what'd you get this for? And then a balloon.
A balloon?
And a balloon.
Why a balloon?
Because then I could see, look, Satan, now you got this balloon, you blow it up, you put the whipped cream on there, and then you have to have your people try and shave it.
You know what would be funnier?
Without popping it, and if they pop it, you beat the fuck out of them because you're Satan.
See, it works. It works.
There, you get your own little torch.
I think I've kind of earned this promotion.
Yeah, it's like, now can I, get out of the 7th layer to the 6th?
I mean, I could just see it. So you're telling me, if I put shaving cream on this inflated balloon, that I can beat the shit out of them if they don't pop it?
No, if they pop it. They have to shave the balloon without popping it.
This is... I want you to inflate. Show me this. And then he does the whole thing, right? Like you do the balloon, you put shaving cream on. He's like, okay, this doesn't seem so hard.
Yeah, it was and it's health, so he's not gonna have a shaver. He's gonna use a sharp rock. That's pop. The point. And then the whipped cream gets in his face, and I run away. Gotcha, bitch! Yeah. Enjoy your chamomile.
He's like, oh, it's chamomile! You bastard!
Justin Timberlake says it better. What about you?
All right. Huh? So I like how you. I don't know what it says about our thought processes, but mine was definitely a little bit more dickish, I guess, technically.
I was like, well, it's because I work in a kitchen, was like hell, and this week has been hell, and I'm like, chamomile tea sounds nice.
So what I would do is I would get 12 cartons of eggs, or a carton of 12 eggs. 12 cartons of eggs. That's all I would get.
You know what? That would work. 12 cartons of eggs.
Here you go, man.
Just start.
Enjoy them.
He gets hit with 12, and then he's like, are you done? Oh, man, I got 11 more.
Don't you think my ideas are excellent? And then rips off my skin. And then, but no.
You said you like it sunny side up, right?
And so I was like, so I got you these carton of eggs, but because you're Satan, I figured you wouldn't like them traditional. And he's like, what do you mean? Opens them and just takes an egg, cracks it, nothing comes out. It's like, did you buy me a full carton of unhindered eggshells? Yeah. Do you like it?
I can see you like, no, they were full, but I emptied them.
I had to poke a hole with them. It was a thing. I took care of it. I figured you're Satan, and this is something that you would like. Mm-hmm. So my next food item I got for you, you're going to love this one. I found it in the dumpster behind the store. It is molded cottage cheese. And he's just like, I'm Satan, not a fucking raccoon.
Yeah, he's like, I'm not a rodent. And you could be like, you have a tail, rodent has a tail.
And might I recall, almost every movie about Satanism has molded something in it, right?
Yeah.
It's usually food.
Quacks like a duck, looks like a duck.
So
it's a goose.
So here you go. And he's just like, is he fucking stupid? And he's like, okay, well, just tell me you got me something to drink that makes sense. Well, it made sense to me. So I got you a bottle of Frank's Red Hot sauce.
Get it? You're saying it's hot in here.
Because I thought water would be against what you drink.
It could be holy water.
I thought I thought that might be a trigger because religion, baptisms.
I couldn't bring you wine because that's apparently the blood of Christ.
And he's just like, so you would think that I instead enjoy a sodium-filled hot sauce as a drink. Well, you can see why I thought that, because I also got you eggshells, so I figured that the hot sauce would help get rid of the taste of the eggshells and the moldy cottage cheese.
Yeah, Frank's Red Hot, man. You put that shit on everything.
Yeah, and so I got you the big I didn't have to, but I got you the big bottle. So, I mean, I can see that you're still taking it in. You don't have to thank me now, but I'm just... Like, I know you're Satan, but I don't think you're that rude. I mean, you know, it's nothing. Here, let me show you the miscellaneous stuff I got you.
No. I guess even at that point just go, no.
You're gonna like it. You're really gonna like it. So remember how that dude originally got you a balloon with shaving cream to use as a torture device? He's like, don't tell me you got me more, right? I'm like, nah, instead I actually got you just shavers and shaving cream because I noticed you could use a little trim, and I thought you would like that a little bit more.
And then he would be like, I could use the shaver on the balloon.
But it also, he would just be like, why would you think that I care? I am the lord of the underworld. They have to say I look good. And I'm like, see, that's what I mean, dog. They're never going to tell you when you're off game. You see, so if anything, I'm kind of being like a bro right now.
I'm telling you need to shave your face.
You need to shave. Your nipples are excessively hairy.
Yeah,
like... I mean, as dudes, we normally have somewhat hairy nipples, but yours, man, it's like a forest within a forest. Like, I'm pretty sure if I put my face in it, I'm gonna be lost forever. And then, like, they're gonna find a video of me standing down in, like, this basement cellar, like, nodding in a corner or some shit.
Actually, I could just see more lines like, if I put my face in that, I'd be lost forever. He's like, yeah, well, now you are. Yeah, like, it's in my mouth.
And then at this point, he'd probably just so annoyed and done with it. He'd just be like, do I even want to see what the last thing you got me is? And I'm just like, no. And then he turns away, and then like a squirt of water hits his face. And he's like, I swear to God, if I turn around and I see water guns in your hands, I am going to shove scorpions up your dick hole. And I'm just gonna be like, but then afterwards, you're gonna want to play like cops and robbers with water guns, right?
Except that's when I would see him go, so you got me water guns, but not water to drink.
Well, I figured you could put the hot sauce in the water guns. Huh? There you go. And now you can shoot people you're torturing with Frank's Red Hot sauce.
In their eyes.
Because that shit goes good on anything. I got you.
And then stab. That's when he stabs you.
And then me and you both come back to life in the hospital beds, and they're gonna be looking at us and be like, "You guys were supposed to be gone. You were like in severe comas. How are you alive?" And you're just gonna look and be like, Matt's pure ignorance to a grocery list saved us. You know how you get frustrated with Matt? Well, guess what? He pissed off Satan.
It's like, I don't think you get more annoying than that.
I was like, look, you can disagree with my methods, but my results speak for themselves.
Yeah, it's like, so if you don't want to stay down there, just royally annoy him. Don't piss him off. Annoy.
Just be annoying. Like, purposely misunderstand the point. Every time. Every single time.
Yep.
Every time.
That works.
Like, you know why 2020's bad? I'm going to kind of take the fall for that. I kind of misheard when he said keep the gates closed.
I thought you meant open.
I swear to God.
I heard him say keep the gates askew.
I swear to God, he said keep it open if needed. Like, I swear, I don't know why he would say it either, but hey man, I'm not going to disargue he was saying, you know, I'm in his territory. Yeah. Like, I don't know if there's a big enough red hot sauce to get him to forgive me. And like, he just like, describes a message on the hospital wall. I fucking hate Frank's red hot sauce.
I'm a Cholula man.
And there you go.
And then the hospital staff would be like, you're never allowed here again.
I'm a patient.
You have to find a different hospital.
That's fair. This will be the 50th one.
Yeah, he's like, you don't want to know how many times I've actually pissed him off, and he keeps wondering why I'm back down there.
2020 is probably my fault. Yeah. I did a lot of annoying things.
You pissed him off enough where he's like, you know what? Fuck it. Disease.
And everybody can ask you, Matt, why the world's falling apart.
It's because you gave me a fucking water gun.
Who gets just empty eggshells? Why would you put in that much time?
I'd just be sitting there like, I at least got him a steak. And I can see you go, he's fucking vegan.
That's why I got him the shells. Bro, cottage cheese? Come on. You take the shells, crumble them up, put them in the moldy cottage cheese, put some Frank's Red Hot on there, and just...
Do vegans eat cottage cheese?
See, again, I'm misunderstood. For reasons why...
Do they?
They do when it's molded.
Okay.
I don't know. I don't think they do.
I don't think so.
I'm positive they don't.
I don't know. If you're vegan, I guess let us know. I don't care enough to really look into it.
Yeah.
Because that's your thing, not my thing.
I miss the time when vegans were the most annoying thing.
Yeah. I miss the time when it was just flat earthers.
Like, not to make it sound bad, like, respect to you vegans and just the fact that you can do that, seriously.
Yeah,
But there was a hot point where vegans were getting a lot of flack, man.
Well, okay.
And it just seemed like such a simpler time.
It did. I liked it when we were able to scream at the hardcore dumb vegans, I'm gonna call them, where they would like not feed their cats or dogs.
Yeah.
Or there's one lady there's a lady who had a pet fox and she refused to let it eat meat. That's where it was too far. But
right.
if you're cool and you're a vegan, good on you.
Yeah, if you're cool.
Yeah.
However we would dictate.
I know two vegans and they're really cool, so.
Okay, well there you go.
That's why I like to shit on it. That's because they're friends.
You've earned that. You've earned our poo.
Yep. I miss those times.
That's probably a shirt that won't be bought. Is you've earned our poo.
You know what? Someone would buy it. There's someone who would actually buy that, but they would actually be carrying around poo and say, "I earned this."
I feel like it'd be very popular in certain kink, circles.
Did you earn this poo? Yes, mistress.
You know I did. I'm always earning that shit. So it's horror articles, it's what it is. We're just talking about what's happening in horror that interests us and might interest you as well. A lot of different things coming out, it's just like with the epidemic, man. Like there's some great things for horror that are coming out that are like, oh, okay, cool, this is really decent timing. Mm-hmm. And then, again, we keep talking about it, just like the pandemic putting, the kibosh on a lot of releases and what have you. One of the biggest things that we've been stressed about as horror fans and other horror fans across the nation who are listening to us can relate is the fact of, is Halloween going to actually be a thing? Are there going to be haunted houses? Are there going to actually be new Halloween movies coming out? Not, can we go even do trick-or-treating? There's a real concern about that because Halloween is just one of the best, if not the best, holidays ever. In our opinion, it is the best.
Yeah, but if y'all wore your masks, we'd be able to do Halloween.
So, with that in mind, within the spirit that nothing can truly cancel Halloween, there's actually a new kind of experience coming to Orlando this October. What it goes by is called The Haunted Road, which promises a new, completely contactless Halloween experience, filled with twisted creatures, immersive theatrical storytelling, and blood-curdling encounters. Alright, so let me explain this to you, Cody. Hold on.
Yeah, you need to do it before I say what I was thinking.
Do you know what Safari Adventure is?
Yeah, where you driving through the safari in your jeeps and stuff, and you can let the wild animals come up to the car and stuff as long as it's not a lion.
Now, despite the ethical problems with that I have, what if we took that out and made it horror actors instead?
So like the strip clubs.
Yeah, but less,
skank. Well,
more family friendly. I guess in a sense.
Just as skanky with all the blood. Nothing against the strip clubs. You guys are doing your thing. That's your thing.
Yeah. So I wouldn't even use the word skank. I would use advantageous, because if I would take advantage of men that way. I feel like I would, and it also isn't really taking advantage if you think about it. No. It's just like more power. But anyways, coming back to it.
You do you.
Yeah.
No shame
So
in there.
as guests drive through each nightmare scene, they'll be immersed into ghastly rendition of an untold story of Rapunzel as she journeys into a world of disarray, faces, and blood-curdling creatures, and hundreds of shocking scares. And so, kind of give you a little more idea about this, what this whole thing is so Halloween Horror Nights, for starters, was canceled, as reported by Bloody Disgusting as well, this year. And, trick-or-treating is kind of, coming up. And again, we're not sure if that's going to be canceled. But some haunters are getting creative and finding this new way to bring scares to you. In Orlando, they are having this drive-through attraction, which is called the Haunted Road. Again, it's guests driving through each nightmarish scene, and they'll be immersed in this really ghastly rendition of an untold story of Rapunzel as she journeys into a world of disarray. Basically, you get the comfort of being in your car without having to worry about getting sick, and also just you get to experience a haunted house. So if you were in Orlando, if you're in Florida, just so you know, this is what's happening. If you want to make a trip to Orlando, you can go ahead and do that. And if you want to audition, auditions will be held in August over at thehauntedroad.com. And you can learn more there and just sign up for the newsletter also.
What's it called? The Haunted Road?
Yeah, it's the
Okay, not
Haunted
gonna
Road.
lie, when you said in Orlando, Florida, the Haunted Road is gonna be a drive-through horror experience, I was like, oh, so we're gonna drive through a hot spot and just hope everyone doesn't cough on the car.
No. But no, it's a little.
I kid. It's just because Florida is literally insane.
Yeah, it's a hot spot right now.
And it's a hot spot.
Sorry, we love you, all of our listeners in Florida. We love you.
Stay safe.
We love you. Okay, we're just talking about the facts that are out
Yeah.
there. Don't get
And
us
also,
wrong.
I just like taking jabs at Florida because Florida can take a jab.
Yeah,
It's Florida, man.
Florida-
It's its own fucking
Flor-
country.
Florida-
Let's be honest.
Florida's pretty gangster.
It's its own
It
thing.
can do its own thing.
Yeah.
I like how they emphasize
as long it always does anyway.
emphasizing the R on gangster definitely was like a little sign of my whiteness coming out.
Instead of saying gangsta, you were like gangster.
Those gangsters with their rap and hip hop music. But with that in mind, obviously the one holiday that comes up after, freaking Halloween that isn't Thanksgiving is most notably known as Christmas, right?
Yeah.
So with that in mind, we
I was gonna
have.
say Krampusnacht.
Bro, there you go. Talking about it though, we talked about Gremlins coming out with a new prequel, talking about what's happening, with that whole universe. Well, more Gremlin news is, this Funko is actually coming out with its own Holiday Havoc game called Gremlins Holiday Havoc. And it is a
That's
card
cool.
game. Yeah, it's coming out on September 30th. And so in addition to this, there's going to be a countdown calendar from Jack Specific that's available right now on their website, I believe. The Gremlins have gone from cute Christmas gift pets to mini monsters causing havoc around town, and you must stop them. Flip over cards to reveal favorite creatures from the classic movie. If you see a match, pounce fast to score, but beware, other players are on the prowl. Whatever you do, don't get them wet, or your chance of losing multiplies. As described as what you're going to experience with the game, it's a fast-paced card-slapping action and frenetic fun for the whole family. Card illustrations feature 10 different gremlin images, plus the iconic gizmo, of course, contains 5 location cards inspired by the movie, including Dory's Tavern.
Cool.
Right? Game contents are 50 gremlin cards, 5 gizmo cards, 4 multiply cards, 5 location cards, 1 sunrise card, and then obviously instructions. And then the game details itself, family card game, ages 8 and up for 3 to 5 players, with about 15 minutes of gameplay per round. I recommend you go over to Bloody Disgusting and check it out yourself because they do have images. And yeah, man, it's just this really kind of cool, really comic style drawn for the cards of each of the Gremlin characters. If you could ever make chicken noodle soup sponsored by Gremlins and put into a card game, it looks kind of comforting in that type of way. You feel me?
Yeah.
So I'm all down for that. Talking about also with all the weird shit kind of happening with horror with actors that being in horror films that we wouldn't really imagine being in one, i.e. Kevin James.
Smith. Yeah, Kevin James.
Kevin
I almost
James.
said Kevin
We
Smith.
did-
I was
we-
like, he does a lot of horror.
Yeah, we trip on them. We trip up on that equally.
Yeah.
Well, another one actor that I've never really imagined to be in a horror film, but I'm kind of surprised I never have because he kind of has the demeanor for it. Russell Crowe, starring thriller Unhinged, has sadly been moved to late August theatrical releases. So Solstice Studios has shifted the release date of their Russell Crowe starring thriller Unhinged. On a few occasions, most recently setting it for this coming weekend for July 31st, but obviously they are not doing that and are instead setting it for August 21st. And so what's interesting is just from Solstice has noted is that, we know that theaters won't be open in every city or county when we launch. However, we anticipate that the vast majority of movie theaters will be open and ready to meet what nationwide polls consistently show is substantial pent-up audience demand to see new movies in theaters. So just coming... It's just trying to be. I know we can't be. We got to try to be unbiased with reporting on the stuff. But if it risk our credibility a little bit here, I'm a little against that. Not gonna lie, just because I feel like that kind of adds to the mentality that we all have right now with being so. Like if you're anti-mask, you're also you can also be anti-COVID vaccine. And though there's this just mentality being really resistant against it. Everything opening up and having a movie theater. I mean, don't get me wrong. I love going to the movie theater. I love that atmosphere. I love it when it's a good horror film and there's not a lot of people there and it's just like close friends.
Oh yeah, like when we saw The Invisible Man.
Yeah.
That was perfect.
Yeah, I love that, but I'm agreeing here that I think, that shit needs to be locked down. I'm not trying to take away from anyone that has to work, but it's just I don't know, man. I'm a little nervous about that. I hope they're right. I hope, maybe we get lucky and it's okay to do stuff like that. But if we'll see how that goes. If plan for August 21st to see when this movie comes out. Again, to remind you, the plot of it, Unhinged, takes an ordinary, everyday incident to its most terrifying conclusion in telling the story of Rachel, played by Karen Pistoris, a mother who leans on her horn at the wrong time to the wrong guy, who is played by Russell Crowe. Road rage just begins to describe what he is about to do to her and everyone she knows. We'll see how it goes. Again, I would rather things be good than bad. I would rather be wrong than right. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you know what? Okay, so I'm definitely one of those on the a little bit on the wagon of I would like to have more new content and stuff like that. But at the same time, I'm kind of also there's so much fucking shit I haven't watched or played, anything, because there's always new stuff coming out all the freaking time. You know what? This is the perfect time to, for people to wind down, catch up on the stuff they never were able to.
Right,
and, I feel like that's also, to me, that's been a way for me to find a sense of myself again, is by going back and finding all the new, the old things that I used to play or watch and getting really into them. I've been on a really weird binge of watching early 2000 movies and just seeing that style. I'm fuck, I remember that.
Right.
It's been happy. I've been listening to a lot of old music and stuff that came out around that time, and bands that I totally forgot about that I used to listen to a lot back then,
right.
Combi Christ. And I think it's nice being able everyone has been on this nostalgia train. This is the perfect time to go back to the actual nostalgia.
Yeah.
And revisit all those instead of worrying about new stuff. As much as I would like new stuff, I'm enjoying living in the past of finding those things. That way. So,
right. So yeah,
that's kind of where I'm at.
Not much else is known at the moment, so we'll see what happens with that. But coming back to the theme of board games, if your ears to the ground in the board game community, you might have already heard of this coming out. But if not, this is going to be news to you. Since it feels like it's mostly news to me, really. We told you recently back in April that the Friday the 13th franchise was getting official board game. Says the website of Bloody Disgusting, as reported by John Squires himself. But to go on to it a little bit more and put our own little spin on it, they were the team behind the board game for Friday the 13th, which is called Horror at Camp Crystal Lake, is out now, and it's from the company called the OP. And so it's a press your luck survival game that puts you and your friends in the roles of camp counselors in a face-off with the hockey-masked murderer for an intense 5 nights. You must endure the suspense and win by gathering the most valuable supplies or finding safety as others lose everything, with unexpected hitches the whole way. You need to reach into a closed camp bag to secure an axe, keys, cleaver, gas tank, flashlight, or a frying pan, and keep them on your person. But be careful. Jason tokens that represent his encounters are also inside, and ending up with two of them drops the proverbial hammer on your place in the game. Players continue stockpiling supply tokens, backstabbing fellow counselors with fear cards, and vying for additional bonuses until one person makes it through with the most points. You get to pick from a choice of 6 characters: the nice guy, the diva, the jock, the nerd, the partier, and of course, the final girl.
Almost sounds like the game you have.
I know, right? So I was like, hey, man, Man, I already played a game like this.
Yeah, I was like, that literally sounds like it.
However, they all have their own different purposes in this game. So, for example, the jock is a gift of brawn to brain. It's always an athlete who steps in to settle a physical score, whereas the nice guy whose strangely comforting purpose is just to make sure everyone is okay.
Are you okay?
Every turn gives you the choice to draw from the camp bag, put a card into play, or return to the cabin where you can safely bank points or others can pull you out to continue the fight. Just hope that you have the escape tokens to fend off Jason and make it out alive. Friday the 13th, Horror at Camp Crystal Lake is for 3 to 6 players, ages 17 and up, and runs for $29.99 U.S. currency.
Cool.
So it's man.
That's actually not a bad price for a board game.
Oh
too.
yeah, dude. I'm totally down for that for sure. I want to get it. I just want to play it and see what it's like. It sounds fun to me. I mean, it's Friday the 13th board game, man. It's like it's one of the best ways you can like get kids into it who are the age of. I guess it says 17 and up, but let's be realistic. There's people that are gonna have kids that are like 13 playing it.
Oh yeah. Well, it's a board game, man.
Well, ending on some more cool news and some more Kickstarter type stuff, so take it with a grain of salt if you're kind of against Kickstarter. So
60-40.
So take it with how much ever salt you feel at that point. But however, there is actually a new dinosaur survival horror game called Goner, which is launching on Kickstarter next month. So launching on Kickstarter on August 4th, Goner tells the story of Anthony Sunder. When Anthony's mother goes missing on a mysterious island, he then chooses to decide to go there himself and sort out the mystery surrounding his mother. However, upon the arrival of the island, Anthony does find out that the island itself is full of people out for his blood, and also inhabited by dinosaurs. Ooh. So not much is known right now. There is a trailer out for it, and what the company, local players, which is they're the production company, the developers, they're wanting to differentiate Goner from other survival focused games by mostly focusing on the story instead. And they're hoping if it goes really well, that they'll be able to actually get the game also on VR.
That'd be kind of cool.
So, like I said,
See Velociraptor bite my face in VR. Ah!
that's what I always wanted. So yeah, man, I mean, to me, from what it sounds like, it's kind of like a mixture of Outlast, but with dinosaurs mixed into it.
I can see that.
And
That'd be fun.
I'm pretty down for that.
Yeah, I'd be down with that. Or Alien Isolation with dinosaurs.
Yeah,
That'd be tight.
absolutely. So yeah, like I said, not much else is known about it. The Kickstarter is going live here on August 1st. So at the time of this recording in 3 days, so by the time you're already listening to us, it should be up and available. So if you want to be a part of this, you want to get on this, go head over to the now. It's called Goner, again, Goner. That's what's happening in horror for this week. Some really cool stuff. I'm enjoying the shit out of it. Dinosaurs and everything. Just, yeah, man. Gremlins. All the board games.
All the little monsters.
Russell Crowe, I guess.
And Russell Crowe. Honestly, I'm actually surprised he's not in more horror.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like he'd be a good horror actor, like a good villain.
Yes,
know?
That's what I was saying.
Him. Same with Gerard Butler. I'm actually surprised he didn't do more horror stuff. Because, like, have you ever seen him in, oh my god, it's that one with Jamie Foxx. I think it's called American Fugitive. But anyways, so, now we're going to dive into meat. We're going to talk about a serial killer. A really crazy serial killer. And if you couldn't really guess from all the...
Law-abiding citizen.
Law-abiding citizen, that was the one. American Fugitive was...
Sorry to interrupt.
No, I was going to bug me. So, the person we're going to talk about today, if you didn't guess from the Satan stuff that we were talking about earlier, we're talking about the Night Stalker, Richard Ramirez.
Dun, dun, dun.
And I knew like quite a little bit about him and everything before this, and I've heard his story a lot, but like every time I relearn about him, like it always bugs the shit out of me about this guy because he had no moral compass, like whatsoever.
Completely out the window.
Okay, but there's one thing that always bugs me with this guy, and I'll talk about it at the end. It's one of the taglines that they have with him. Let's start. I'll go all the way back to February 29th, 1960. In El Paso, Texas. And that is the birth date of Richard Ramirez. He is the youngest of 5 children to Mexican immigrants. So he is one of the first, he's a first-born American citizen of it.
Okay.
But all of his siblings were born very sickly. They all had some kind of respiratory issue or some kind of deformity. The oldest brother was completely disabled. And you can kind of put that to the fact that while his mom was pregnant, she was working in a boot factory, so she was around a lot of fumes and glues and stuff like that. While she was pregnant, she never took time off. So
while she was pregnant with Richard.
All of them.
Okay.
All of them. She never left, and including Richard. And so that's one thing that you could actually you could kind of say like maybe that kind of hampered with him, because he wasn't born like as a healthy baby. None of them were born healthy. And then when he was 2 years old, a dresser fell onto his head and he needed a lot of stitches. It like gushed his head open. His father was also extremely abusive to all the kids, but so like the thing with that is like it's the 1960s. That was kind of normal. So like this is one thing that goes against who he becomes is like some people like, well, that was kind of normal back then. Like it was pretty normal to beat the shit out of your kids, you know?
Well, it wasn't okay. So,
it wasn't okay, but
it was what everybody
like spanking was definitely like normalized a lot more, and just all kinds of stuff like that.
Yeah.
Another thing that some people want to try accumulate to like why he ended up becoming so messed up is because also while they were living in Texas. This was also known. It was also during around the times of nuclear testing in New Mexico, and so it's somewhat attributed as the nuclear fallout would be swept up by the wind and move into El Paso, and where they were living, there, like the towns they were living in, like there was contamination, water contamination, stuff like that.
Yeah.
But when he was a kid, like he was pretty outgoing child. Like he had a lot of friends as a kid. Like his school friends at the time would say like he's pretty normal. He was outgoing. He was very eccentric and stuff like that. But what they didn't know behind the scenes is when he was around 8 years old, his 14-year-old brother was sexually abused in front of him many times by his 14-year-old brother's teacher. He would actually come to their house when their parents were gone and rape his brother. And it's actually kind of speculation, but it was never confirmed that there's a chance that Ramirez was also sexually abused by this teacher. But I would say where he started truly diving into the macabre was when he was 13 years old. He had his cousin Mike return from Vietnam. He's a Vietnam vet, Special Forces, and Richard idolized this man. And so, but when he came back, he brought and showed these pictures to Richard when he was 13, budding, hormones and everything, learning all about your sexuality and stuff. He would show him pictures of a Vietnamese woman that he raped and murdered. And showed Richard all these pictures, including one. This is going to be a super graphic episode, so I'm going to let you know now. I should have said that beforehand a little bit more.
It's okay.
But it's Richard Ramirez.
We also have a trigger warning.
Yeah, it is super trigger. It is definitely going to be a trigger warning. One of the last pictures he showed him was the decapitated head of this Vietnamese woman, like giving him a blowjob. And it was like you see actual photos of that, like real life photos, like that's gonna fuck you up. And then also, when Richard was over at Mike's house, within these few years, Mike would, over a petty argument, shoot and kill his fiance. He shot her in the head, and all the blood splattered onto Richard, and the guy ended up only serving 4 years in a psych ward. And so then Mike would actually become really prominent in Richard's life, and showing him all these things, teaching him how to be like a disgusting human being. And so his friends really noticed his behavior change freshman year of high school. They said there was just something about him that was just scary now. He was just a scary human being. He started hanging out with the gang members that were around then, around the school and stuff like that. And he just pretty much avoided all of his friends. He actually scared the shit out of them just for who he was. And then he started getting in. Then that's when he really started delving into Satanism, and he got really into hard rock, especially AC/DC. Even though I don't believe metal and hard rock is a line down this road, that was the time. But in those times, they thought that, and that was just stupid, in my opinion. But he was into Satanism and all that.
It definitely added to the stigmatism.
Yes, it did. He didn't help it. And he also would start sleeping in the cemetery at night every now and then, and he started stealing from everyone. And so he actually gained the nickname the Thief around his neighborhood. And so He drops out of high school when he freshman year, and he started working for a pretty famous hotel chain. I'm gonna leave the name out.
For their sake.
For our sake, man. I don't want any like motherfuckers. Don't be talking about a hotel like that. He worked for a fairly famous hotel chain.
You can talk about it. You just can't say any bad shit
I also
about
can't
it.
remember it.
Because you're just stating where he worked.
And so he actually had a master key to the rooms. He had a master key to all hotel rooms, and he would actually sneak into female guests' rooms and watch them from their closet. Like he'd be sitting in the closet watching them, and so you can see he's already starting to slowly build to like who he's going to become. And so his first chance at this, one night he ended up sexually assaulting a guest, and in the midst of raping her husband comes in and sees this and nearly beats him to death.
Good.
Like you beat him and he almost died, and it's like, fuck if the police only let them go just like 10 more minutes.
Right.
You know? But and
like I didn't see anything.
yeah. And sadly, nothing came of this because the victims wanted nothing to do with them afterwards. And this happens a lot, and it sucks, and you can't blame her. I don't blame her whatsoever. I don't blame anyone who would never want to see this person that did this horrible thing to them again. So it's like, you can't be mad at her. And so he then moved, and after this case, that spooked him. He needed to get out of town because everyone's going to know who he is, what he did, and stuff like that anyway. So this is when he moves to LA. And so he moved to LA. He had nothing. He lived his life as a drifter. He was a hitchhiker. He was homeless all his life, a drug addict, and also a candy addict. He fucking loved to eat candy and drink Mountain Dew. That was all he did. He did drugs, ate candy, and drink Mountain Dew. That was his nourishment. And so how he would get all this, how he'd be able to do all this, though, is he would just rob people. That was his job. He'd break into people's houses and rob them. And so he started escalating from that because he would break into the houses, rob. He wouldn't get caught. He also had this little ego boost by literally getting away with rape back in El Paso.
Yeah.
And so he then started breaking and entering these people's houses, and then he started assaulting the people, and then stealing the stuff, and then he started going further. So his spree starts in March 17th, 1985. Ramirez attacks Maria Hernandez in her garage. She pulls into her garage, and she has two locks on her door, and as the garage door is going down, Ramirez sneaks in. Like, he hunches down, sneaks in, and his baseball cap falls off, and she hears it behind her. Just after she unlocks her first lock, turns around, sees Ramirez coming at her with a .22. This .22 is really important because he loves the .22. He uses this one in his first couple murders, and then he switches and finds another .22. Mm-hmm. So he loves this gun. And he tries to shoot her, and he goes to shoot her in the face, and she, like, out of instincts, just, like, pulls her hand to her face, and miraculously, like, this is 1 in a million chance, the bullet deflects off her fucking keys.
Wow.
And she just drops like she was actually shot. Jesus. And just lays there. But she wasn't injured. And so, sadly...
Sorry, just bravo for her for doing that. Like,
yeah.
Like, it wasn't like a heroic thing she did, but it was the smartest survival thing.
The smartest thing. Like, survival instinct kicked in, play dead. But sadly, when she entered the room, he entered the house, she legged it to try and find help. Her roommate wasn't as lucky.
Oh, no.
Her roommate, Dale Okazaki, wasn't as lucky, and she was shot in the head by Ramirez, and she died. She shot her a couple times in the forehead.
Yeah.
And so he then left the house, saw Maria in the alleyway, and, like, was about to get her, but then he just legged it because he was like, it's probably been too much time. The cops are more than likely on their way, so he legs it. He's super frustrated, though, because at this point in time, he's already been, like, kind of raping women and stuff like that. So he has that section. He's just flustered because he didn't get the chance to do that. So, and he's also mad because he didn't kill Maria. So he flees from here, and when he's sitting in his car, a car that he steals, he sees Tsai Lian Yu driving by and starts following her. And then he decides to stop following her, but she notices him, and so she follows him. Don't do this. If someone's following you, you think someone's following you, and they turn away and then they stop, don't follow them again. Because
Okay.
Because what happens, poor Tsai Lian Yu, she follows him, he pulls over in Monterey Park, And he goes up to her car and she starts yelling at him like, "Why are you following me?" He tried to say, "I recognized you." And she's like, "No, you didn't. Why are you following me?" And she kept egging him on. And so then he pulls out his gun and she freaks out. And he ends up pulling her out of her car and then killing her.
Ah, jeez.
And there was an eyewitness that saw all this, but sadly didn't get enough information on him.
Yeah.
And so there's something about Ramirez that bothered that they couldn't put a finger on him. Like they didn't.
I feel like there's a lot of things about Ramirez that
yeah.
bothered a lot of people.
Well, the first thing is that they didn't. So there's only one detective that was able to kind of link these murders and say it was only one person who did this.
Yeah.
While everyone else was kind of like, I don't know. Because the thing about Ramirez is that until this next killing, he wasn't very intimate with them. Like most serial killers are really intimate. Like Ted Bundy, you know, he would strangle, beat, and bite them. Ed Gein was a cannibal. You know, most of the serial killers, and Dahmer. Like, they all got very intimate with their victims, you know? They either got to know them, or, like, the way they killed them was, like, strangling or beating, raping, and then killing. It was all very intimate. Well, Ramirez didn't start off like that until the deaths of Vincent Zazzara and his wife, Maxine. He shot Vincent, and then when he went to go kill Maxine, he killed her. And then this is when he wanted a trophy.
Yeah.
And so at first he tried to cut her heart out, but he couldn't get past the rib cage. So instead he takes her eyes and he puts it in a jewelry case and keeps the eyes, and then he fucks the dead body.
Jesus.
Yeah, he is sick.
He violates it.
Yeah. And so it's gross. And so 2 months later, after this, he kind of like stops for a couple months, and then 2 months later he kills Harold Wu and brutally rapes his wife John Wu, but he leaves her alive. And that's when he kind of started getting tagged as the Night Stalker. Instead of he was being called the walk-in killer because he would just walk into their houses and kill someone.
Yeah.
And so one thing that they also knew about, one thing that they started noticing about him is that he would always shoot the men first because he would always kill the biggest threat. So he would just get the threat out of the way, and then he would go after the women. One of the documentaries that I watched about him, so there was the main detective that was on the case. He said they talked to two world-renowned psychologists about his killings, and both of them said that there was no way it was one person doing these kills, because Ramirez was so sporadic with them, because like sometimes he would leave the woman alive. He would either kill them through shooting them, or he would stab them, or he'd cut their throats, or he'd bludgeon them. Like there's no true MO to what he did.
Yeah.
Besides the torture. Then this is when his MO really started coming out with everything. Is the brutal murders of the elderly sisters, Malville Keller and Blanche Wolfe. Went through their house. He couldn't find any, he didn't find any jewels. He was starting to get pissed off, so when he went to go kill them, he couldn't find a knife or anything, so instead he found a hammer.
Oh, Jesus.
And he brutally, bludgeons them to death with the hammer, and then afterwards, he gets one of their lipsticks and draws a pentagram on Malville Keller's thigh and on the bedroom walls. And so that's where everyone started thinking that this was a satanic cult and everything, because that's when he really showed that, Satanism and everything. And so jazz. Also he ended up actually telling, after he gets caught, he told people that, or told the police and everything, that he would say a prayer to Satan before every murder. Mm-hmm. Like he would say a prayer like, "I do this in the name of you," and stuff like that. "And I do this for my Lord Satan."
Satan's like, "I don't even know that dude."
Yeah, he's like, "Where's my squirt gun?" "I need my chamomile tea." And so the next victim that was really, really rough was Ruth Wilson. She was one of, I would say, she lived. I'm not gonna say she was one of the lucky ones. So Ramirez broke into her house. And she had her 12-year-old son there. And so Ramirez handcuffed the son and put him in the closet, and then brutally raped his mom in front of him.
Ah, Jesus.
And then stole everything. He then thanked her and left. Like, he thanked her. He said that you were one of the better ones, and then just left. Like, how fucked up is that?
What an absolute monster, man.
Seriously. He then went on to brutally rape and murder another elderly woman and sodomized and murdered another right after that. And so his murder tactics were all over the place because they couldn't tell. Then that's why they also couldn't tell it was one person, because he had no actual a victim type. He basically, I feel like he would just see a house and be like, you know what, let's go try and walk in there. You know, and that's like kind of his thing, and that's what scared the LA community so bad, because it was just so random. And what didn't help all this, because right now you'd be thinking, well, just lock your doors, because that was the thing. He would sneak in through the windows, you'd cut the screen open, or just walk right into like unlocked doors and stuff like that. And you would think like just shut your windows, lock the doors. Well, where he was killing people was like poor neighborhoods and everything, and this is one of the hottest summers in LA history. So it was hot. And people didn't have air conditioning, you know. This is like early 80s. That wasn't around everywhere. So people would have to leave their windows open just so they could sleep.
Yeah, he would always find a place to exploit.
Yeah. Okay, and then another thing that Ramirez loved to do during all these is he would, besides just humiliating them, he loved to watch them suffer. So like there was several of them where he would like shoot them and just stand there and watch them till they bled out. Especially the men, and then the women, of course, he loved to physically brutalize and everything. And then he would always have them praise Satan while he's doing all this. He'd tell them, like, say your love for Satan, praise Satan, and all this kind of stuff. This all takes place, all his murders, in 1 year. So this all takes place in 1 year. Like, it's fucking insane. Like, he just did not want to stop. And so in June and July, like, he went on a big spree. He killed 3 more women, slitting their throats. He then went after 16-year-old Whitney Bennett, and she survived the beating. Like, he beat her crazily with a tire iron, and she miraculously survived. She had to get a bunch of facial reconstruction surgeries and everything. And fun fact, she actually ends up, I believe it's the leading detective, she ends up marrying his son.
Oh, that's kind of cool.
Yeah,
right?
I thought that was kind of cool. She ended up finding, through this terrible thing, she ended up finding some kind of happiness out of it. So, and then July 20th, he struck twice in Sun Valley. He shot and killed a 32-year-old man, Chitat Asawaham, I think that's how you say it, and his wife, Sakima. She was beaten and forced to perform oral intercourse. Ramirez then collected valuables and left. He left her, I'm guessing he left her alive. Later in the same day, he had then attacked a Glendale couple, Max and Kneading, and his wife Leela. They were both shot and mutilated.
Oh man.
Yeah, and then here comes the start of his downfall a little bit. And these two people are fucking badass motherfuckers. So on August 6th, he breaks in, shoots Christopher Peterson in the neck and his wife in the face. She literally just turns around and asks him, like, what the fuck just happened? Like, what's wrong? Like, they don't know what happened to themselves.
Yeah.
Like, they don't know they're shot. They were asleep. Ramirez was just standing there watching them because he thought he got them enough to where he could just watch them die. So he didn't even reshoot them.
Oh, Jesus.
And he's standing there watching them. And so then the husband, Chris, sees him and just fucking charges Ramirez. And Ramirez shoots 2 more times and misses and legs it right afterwards. Like, he didn't want that confrontation, just fucking runs. So Christopher and Virginia call the cops, say what happened, hopped in their RV and just went to the hospital and got released the next day. Like, badasses. Fucking badasses.
Man.
And so...
How awesome is it that, like, finally a couple gets back at him?
Yeah, right?
You know?
Uh-huh. And so... So this probably just triggered him hard, even worse. Like, I didn't even get anything out of that. They lived. I didn't get any merchandise, and I didn't get to carry out my sick sadistic thing on Virginia. But so he kind of pauses, and then on August 8th, he kills Ahmed Zia and brutally assaulted his wife, Sue Key, and she was able to give a good description of him this time. They actually got a good description of him, and it fit the Night Stalker description of the Night Stalker, but they still didn't have a name. So on August 24th, 1985, Ramirez travels 50 miles south of LA to Mission Viejo and broke into the Mediterranean Village apartment of Bill Carnes, 29, and his fiancee Inez Erickson, 27. Ramirez shoots Carnes in the head and rapes Erickson. He demanded she swear her love for Satan, and afterwards he forced her to perform oral intercourse. He then tied her and left. She was also able to she lived and was able to get and give a description of him and the car he was driving. A teenager was also able to get and give his license plate number to the police in the same day, from the same incident.
Nice.
So now they're getting somewhere. He
Good.
fucked up hard.
Good.
Because then the car was then found on August 28th, and the police were able to get his fingerprint off of the rear window mirror. So you know your little rear window mirror thing in the front of the car.
Yeah.
Yeah. They were able to they got a fingerprint off of it, which he normally is able to like wipe down the car he steals because he steals cars. Oh, fun fact that I learned about this, because this still happens to this day. You can actually create your own master key to steal cars.
Oh,
it's
shit.
super easy, and it's mostly for like old Toyota.
We're not going to tell you how to do it.
Hondas. Yeah,
It's just that you can't.
There's a nifty way to how you do it, and there's like you can get it's crazy how you can do this, and this is how he pulled it off because he learned it from like the times he was in the hotel having the master key. He was like, oh, I got to get a master key, and then he learned on the streets how to make a master key to certain cars. So after they got that, they were actually able to identify the fingerprint as Richard Ramirez because he's in the system. Because he had a troubled past and everything. He had run-ins with the cops because of his thievery and everything and stuff like that. And also from that first rape in the hotel. His image was finally released to the press. He had no idea, and but the thing is, so he was outed. They finally got an image in the press and everything. His childhood friends were like, "Holy shit, that's Richie!" Like they could not fucking believe it. They were just like, "I can't believe this." But he had no idea he was outed because he took a trip to Tucson, Arizona, to visit his brother, and he literally left the day before he got outed, so he had no idea. But when he came back, and he stopped at a convenience store, and he was buying some candy, and so he then looked over and saw a newspaper article and saw his face, and it said Richard Ramirez, the Night Stalker, wanted for murder and all that shit. Looked around and saw people staring at him like they knew who he was. He freaked the fuck out, legged it, and started like yard hopping, jumping over fences and stuff.
He pulled a Ferris Bueller.
Yeah, he started jumping over fences, like high fences and stuff. And there were people in their houses calling the cops, going, "He's fucking running through my yard," and like shit like that. And so and then he jumped into the street. Tried to steal a car from a woman, but fucking this guy runs out with the steel rod, tackles him, and clonks him in the head, and the whole street beat the fuck out of him until the cops got there. Like, literally, if the cops showed up, like, maybe 2 minutes later, he would have been dead.
Yeah.
Like, they were just beating him.
I would too.
Yeah, me too. Honestly, once the cops got there, I don't think I would have been able to stop.
No, you don't know what he did.
So,
you don't know.
Yeah.
Kind of moment.
Yeah, kind of thing. And so he was caught. Finally, the Night Stalker's reign of terror ended.
Yeah.
But his story doesn't. Fucking. Oh my god. Just like Charles Manson and all these other serial killers, he had groupies. Like, gross groupies. Like, fucking, it was nasty. There's women coming all over the place wanting to marry him and stuff like that.
Okay.
So,
we'll also just say that they're nasty for wanting to mate with something like that.
Yeah, that's what I mean. There was one gal, she fucking was writing to him.
Yeah.
Like, she wrote over 75 letters, and they ended up getting married. And she told him the second he dies, because he ends up getting sentenced to death row. I'm going to talk about his court case. There's one crazy ass fucking story that happens in the court case. But so she said once he dies, she's going to commit suicide so they could always be together forever. And fucking Go see a therapist.
Tears
Lady.
the fall.
Like,
they crashed
okay,
around
seriously,
me.
if you're sexually attracted to serial killers, you should probably go to see a therapist. That's not okay. Like, I don't know. I know normally don't kink shame, but that's like, come on.
Here's the thing, man. Like, there's a few lines you don't cross when it comes to having a kink. Murder is one of those.
Yeah.
Regardless of the context, who it does it or how it's done, taking human life.
Yeah, that's not okay.
And getting a sexual thrill, all that is a definite no can do,
So-
and I will kink shame you to oblivion for it.
Yep, me too. So before we get to his end, the court case was fucking insane because he threatened to kill the leading prosecutor, and he said he was going to shoot him. It was either the leading prosecutor or the judge, and he did threaten both of their lives. And so because of that, they had to set up fucking metal detectors, and they had to frisk everyone. They had to basically do cavity searches on anyone and everyone coming to that case,
Jesus.
that court case, and everything. And then he said he'd be able to get the jurors, and fucking ironically, one of the jurors actually ended up dying. She was murdered in her apartment.
Shit.
And everyone was like, "Holy shit! Does he actually have links to the outside? Like, did he do this?" Not luckily, but she actually he wasn't tied to her murder. She was actually killed in a murder-suicide from her boyfriend. So it's like just a fucking coincidence of that.
Yeah.
And like the juror who replaced her, she was like, "I'm not going home until like this is done and he's in jail." She was afraid to go home. All the jurors were afraid because of this.
Yeah, I mean, why wouldn't you be? Mm-hmm. That's why that's why I would just take the motel at that point and be in an undisclosed location.
Mm-hmm. So he ended up being he got sentenced to death. Sadly, he did not make it to his death sentence. Well, not even sadly, actually, it's good. He ended up dying in the hospital from lymphoma on June 7th, 2013. He had a lot of things wrong with him. He had hepatitis C. I mean, all he ate was candy, drugs, and drink Mountain Dew. And so there was a lot wrong with him. Something was going to take him out at that point.
Well, you know what? Sorry,
but,
go ahead.
I was gonna say, but also, I kind of find it. I'm like glad he died. He died that way and stuff too, because I think it was like really, it was close. His death came super close to California abolishing the death penalty. So I was like, he still died. So that's good. He wouldn't get put to death, but he still died from something.
You know what's one thought about that though that makes me really uncomfortable?
Huh?
Is that so he died from lymphoma and he had all these diseases, and it makes me wonder. It makes me fearful that what if he during the things
he totally did.
Yeah,
he totally gave
he passed something on. That's just so. Like, I'm not trying to, like, shame or make anyone feel bad in any sort of way, but just, like, because of the context of how they would have received it.
Oh, fuck, man.
Yeah, like, that's just a bit rough, man, in my opinion. Like,
yeah.
I mean, it's all rough. It's not like there's any preferable way it should have gone.
No, but, like, still, like, that's just, like, icing on top of the shit
it just
cake
feels so...
For those survivors.
It just feels like such a robbing thing, you know? Like, that's something that... Like, that's a different type of scar, and I feel so bad for everybody who had to survive and go through that. Like, I'm not trying to be pandering, but it's just again, man, like the trauma of going through that. Like, I can only imagine like what that's like. And again, the fact that lymphoma took him out. I don't know, man. Like, I kind of...
It's almost like disappointing that he didn't go out super violently or had a painful death. Like, I hope it was painful.
Yeah,
I hope it was painful. I hope he felt every second of that until he died.
Yeah, like, not trying to be, like too morbid and whatnot.
I'm going to be a little morbid about it. I truly hope that nurse just stood there watching him and said, "This is how they felt."
No, I'm more so mean, like, not trying to be morbid in the sense of wanting loss of life within a life force, but in this case, like, but like you just it's something where it's kind of like you wanted him to have a much more brutal death than the ones that he gave out, and you know, I think that's just kind of like Like, you gotta be fucking kidding me. He got a good. He essentially, it kind of feels like he got the coward's way out.
Yeah, kind. That's how it almost feels like.
And I'm in no way am I trying to talk about anyone who has had to deal with lymphoma and who has passed away from it. Anyone else, that's a very different struggle that we're talking about. I'm talking about like exclusively this terrible person.
Yeah.
Should have, like, I don't know, lethal injection, electric chair, whatever, man.
Oh shit! I think
electric chair wasn't allowed by the time.
Yeah. No, what I think the cops should have just let that mob just beat him to death. I think if I was one of those officers, I'd be like, who? Like, of all the times that you want that, police brutality to be coming out and stuff like that, perfect time.
Right. But no, let's go ahead and beat up the dude that supposedly has a fake dollar.
Yeah. Or the kid who has a pair that's apparently a hand grenade.
Okay.
Sorry.
Well,
anyways, one thing that I do
just
want to talk about when it comes to Richard Ramirez also, like, one thing that a lot of people they argue about with him is, like, was he truly born evil, or was it like nurture or nature? Because the thing is, like, similar people have gone through a lot of the things that he went through as a kid and don't murder. Don't kill people, stuff like that.
I honestly, I think it was a developmental thing.
I truly believe it was developmental.
Like, in no way am I, and like, again, because, like, yeah, he had a serious brain injury, and, like, who knows what his mom inhaled, and if that really did affect the pregnancy in any way.
Yeah.
But, like
I mean, you kind of can link it to that just because all of his siblings are born sick.
So, like, you have that's like is a seasoning, I guess, or whatever.
Yeah.
But, like, the real ground of it is, like, how he grew up, where he grew up.
Oh yeah.
And a lot of those experiences.
He didn't have a chance. No, man. A kid.
He had a real again, not making the case for him, but, like,
there's no excuse for what the fuck he did.
He had excuse because a real rough one.
There's uncountable amount of people that have gone through similar situations,
or something worse,
or even worse, because it's not known if he was sexually assaulted when he was a kid by that teacher, you know. And there's people that have been and stuff like that, and that went through all the same similar things that he did, and then had worse that never killed anyone, but he did. And honestly, I truly believe that his cousin Mike was the biggest influencer on that, because that was his idol. He showed him these brutal rapings and stuff that he did in Vietnam.
Well, see, that's the thing about psychopaths, man, is that they know what they're doing, but they still act without a moral code. Mm-hmm. And I know it's still one of, like, the most, like, hot type of, like, realms of true crime in general, of, like, what's discussed, and, trying to just, like, expand it on more, just trying to figure out why they think that way and how that happens in order to get more ahead of it. But just, like, again, man, like, you would have to have, like, no moral compass.
No, and he didn't have one. And one of the other craziest things, like, this is, like, one of the things that's super upsetting about him. He was actually fairly semi-intelligent, but the thing was that he studied murder. That's all he did. He had vast knowledge of serial killers that were known at the time, and then he also had vast knowledge of murders and stuff like that.
So not only did Richard Ramirez give a bad name to rock and roll,
yes,
not only did he get a bad name to Satan, which I'm not saying this, I'm just naming him off, and not only did he give a bad name to all those, but now he's giving a bad name to all these true crime addicts that obsess over murders.
Yes.
God damn it.
Yeah.
They have anything nice.
No. If there was something nice, Richard Ramirez ruined it.
More than likely.
Yeah, so...
Leaving your door unlocked was another thing, so there's 4.
Yeah, there's 4. So, yeah, that's the fucked up tale of Richard Ramirez, the Night Stalker.
All
Glad
right.
he's dead. And, honestly, I feel like okay, so one thing when talking about serial killers and stuff, and just like all us true crime fanatics and stuff, there's always that one small little thing inside me that's like, this is kind of fucked up that we're, like, watching this and stuff like that.
Right.
And getting really into it and listening to all this and talking about it like this. But I also think that it's actually I think it's almost important to talk about people like this and stuff like that.
Well, it's
mostly
educating.
just because, it's educating, so we know, again, to not repeat the past.
Yeah.
That's the point of talking about this and stuff like that. And also, so we remember, and the biggest thing that I want to talk about when we talk about serial killers on here or listen to serial killers and stuff, you got to remember the victims are the most important people of this, and they're the ones that need to be remembered. Like, they're the ones, their lives got affected, their families' lives got affected. So we always send as much love and passion and care to all these families that were affected by these motherfuckers. So that's one thing you got to remember is the victims that came out of this, like they need the help and the prayers and whatnot. So just remember them. Remember that they got affected by this terrible person and that they are trying to get past this and have happy lives as much as they can. So I hope all of the survivors and the families of the victims are doing great now and doing as best as they can and everything.
And they moved on.
And they've moved on with their lives and had happy lives.
Right.
So yeah, wanted to end on that.
All right, ghouls, gals, creeps, and mutants. You know how it goes at this point. But real quick, we're gonna change it up. We do have a new shirt at our Teespring store. It is the Codyzilla shirt. You can get Cody himself as a Godzilla character kaiju fighting a giant rubber duck. It's hilarious. It's beautifully done by our artist Megan, who is also listed in every episode note, so you can check out her work as well. It is available still. Make sure you get one. Comes in a variety of colors. We also are going to be having some new stickers. These stickers that we're really excited about are actually from a mascot of the show herself. So you might have heard it in a few episodes, every now and then when we record at Cody's. Patches meowing in the background, the residential grumpy cat.
Patches, my trash goblin.
So now we have stickers of Patches available. So on our Teespring as well.
My favorites are Derpy Vampire.
Yeah, we're actually going to be getting some of those stickers as well and be putting them in mystery boxes for new patrons. So if you want to get on top of that as well, instead, go over to our Patreon, and just for an $8 a month supporter, you'll get a mystery box that's customized especially for you with a mystery horror movie thank you letter from us and filled with a bunch of goodies inside that we know you as a horror fan are going to like. That on top of that, if you want to keep up with everything that we're else doing, make sure you like us and follow us on Facebook at Punk Rock Horror Podcast, at Twitter, official PRHP, or
on Instagram, Punk Rock Horror Podcast, #PRHP Podcast.
You can also follow me at The Undead Matt on Instagram. I sometimes post funny stuff, or if you want to tell me what you would buy Satan to piss him off, let me know over on my Instagram at The Undead Matt. The website is, like I said, continually being rebuilt and being, updated from the ground up. So it's still available for access. So if you cannot listen to our show on any other platform, or for some reason you're going to a moment where you aren't able to listen to us, you can go to our website and actually download episodes for free on the go. What you do is just look up punkrecordpodcast.com. We have 4 pages of all of our content that we have ever released. So if there's so we are aware that there's some content that is missing on iTunes. That is not our deal. We don't know why that's happened, but it just has. But you can find all of our episodes, the whole catalog, on our website, punkrockhorrorpodcast.com. And you can learn about some of the people that work behind the team and keep the show going, that we just love and praise. So again, ghouls, gals, creeps, and mutants alike, thank you so much for hanging out with us and letting us talk about horror with you. We will talk about the spooks and the scares with you next time.
Bye.
Bye.